border issues were meant for Ukraine and Russia, for India and China, for Armenia and Azerbaijan, never really for Canada and the US. Not currently anyhow, not for as long as anyone can remember. That border is a polite straight line following mostly, though not entirely, the 49th parallel, so the 49th latitude line moving up from the equator. On the ground, it is marked by a 20-foot wide clearing known as the slash. People have long lived on either side and crossed at will. This never was like the partition of India. But this line nevertheless was born of a conflict dating to the American War of Independence from the British. 2 centuries back, the present United States threw out the British, but the British kept the area north of the 49th parallel, which is now Canada. For Britain, Canada remains a royal realm, and Canada accepts the British monarch as its head of state. Trump's tariffs are new and his own really, but they have kicked into an old divide that is surfacing in a new incarnation. Back then, at what came to be known as the Boston Tea Party in 1773, American nationalists dumped chests of tea from Britain into Boston Harbor to protest against British monopolies and taxation. Today, Trump's tariffs party is pushing back against what it sees as a Canadian capture of American markets in the shadow of the old British ways. Now, a third of Canadian exports to the US are energy, and its Ontario province could potentially simply just switch it off to a number of US states, including New York, as the tough-talking Ontario Premier Doug Ford has threatened to do. And the US refineries are designed to refine only Canadian oil. American car production is near impossible at present prices without the cheaper Canadian components. Canadian lumber builds American homes because it's priced far lower than American would. Canada has long enjoyed such sales through pricing and tariff advantages. Trump is not calling foul entirely without reason, which is not to say that the tariffs are therefore reasonable or will deliver. Tariffs could make Canadian lumber costlier, or home builders will then have to buy costlier lumber in the US. Either way, the cost of building goes up. Costlier components would make cars more expensive in the US. Electricity bills could go up in many parts of the US, and the US already is seeing a higher level of inflation. 2 centuries down the line, Canadian exports, unlike the old British ones, are now integrated into the US economy, so these will be difficult to separate and extricate, which then brings challenging days ahead for Trump on the one hand, and on the other for the new Prime Minister of Canada, who will replace Justin Trudeau next week. Trump's astonishing solution to make Canada the 51st state of the US could make some sense in tariffs and taxation, but that is something the new Canadian PM and Canadians widely are hardly likely to accept. Canadian nationalism is a new factor and a new force, but the seeds of a historical conflict are sprouting again.